Yeah, that intro is way too long. I don't know what's going on with it. It's saying 10 seconds and then it takes 60 seconds for the countdown. I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh, bro. Like I went and fixed a meal during that intro, right? A whole meal. I'm talking about in the crock pot. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unpopular Reviews Top 5, right? What's the topic for the Top 5 this week? Top 5 wrestlers to never wrestle for WWE. And we're going right into it, right? Right into it. Nothing. No lose. I'm the exec consultant, joined today by Zia Silent as well as King Vaughn Jr. from Victorious Ones Podcast. Make sure you check them out. In the meantime, Zia Silent, I'm going to start with you. Number 5, top 5 wrestlers who never went to WWE.
So I took a page out of your book. I got honorable mentions, and they both take up one slot. It's a tie between Young Bucks. Obviously, this is as of today. Because if you're in the greatest of the world conversation, these guys been in the conversation for the past 5-6 years, along with Usos and along with my hometown guys, the Briscoes. So those are honorable mentions. But in my other, my number 5 would have to be Stevie Ray. What could have been if he would have came with his brother, getting Harlem Heat versus New Age Outlaws. I think that would have been dope. Versus Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys. I think that I mean, he's one of those guys that when WCW crumbled, he was fine with his career. So I think that, you know, obviously my list is kind of modified because I ain't got no time to be looking for New Japan people that don't nobody know. There's only one, and everybody knows the one. He's my number 1, but that's my 5.
Yeah, no spoilers, right? So, all right. So as far as my honorable mentions, hold
up, Vaughn. Did you name all 5 of your wrestlers just like off the break? Is that what you did?
Pretty much.
That's not how we do things around here at Top 5. This your first time joining us? Oh my god!
Me?
Yeah, you named
no,
all
that
your
was
top
no, that was my no, that wasn't it. That was my honorable mention, and then my 5th. My 5th is Stevie Ray. My 5th is Stevie Ray, but I had a time for honorable mentions with the Bucks and Briscoes.
Because when you named all those wrestlers, you did, and then my top 5, I'm like, what? Hold up.
I know, right?
I'm gonna wrap up this show quickly. Okay, all right, cool. I got it. Go ahead, King Vaughn. I'm sorry.
All right, so my honorable mention will ultimately be the Briscoes. You know, just because of what could have been, just like DJ said. But my number 5 out degree would actually have to be Stevie Ray, just because you never know what Harlem Heat could have done, the dream matches that they could have had, you know what I mean, against aforementioned, you know, the Dudley, especially against the Dudley Boys, and and things like that. So, you know what I mean, and plus they're the precursors to what we've seen with the New Day and everything like that. So Stevie, because by association with Harlem Heat, would be number 5.
I don't have a Mount Rushmore, and I not Mount Rushmore. I don't have an honorable. I'm just gonna go right into it. Right?
Oh wow, that's a surprise.
Yeah, it's surprising to me too. But here's the thing: this is a very difficult list because a lot of wrestlers you may think never went to WWE, but actually were in WWE. They just got their ass whooped, Young Bucks.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna start off with Bruiser Brody. Right? Bruiser Brody is a name that you hear. Bruiser Brody is one of the most rugged wrestlers that a lot of people emulate without knowing that they emulate. Here's an idea. Luke Harper, right? Or whatever he was called in his real name. I can't remember his name. Who was Brody Lee, right? Reminds me a lot of Bruiser Brody. Let me take him down because it's creeping me out, right? Reminds me a lot of Bruiser Brody. He's an influential wrestler who inspires other wrestlers, much like a Shawn Michaels, much like a Eddie Guerrero, much like a Kurt Angle, but does not get the flowers and the recognition he deserves. I'm going to give it to him here tonight. Bruiser Brody is my number 5. Z Silent, your number 4. Oh, Vic, did you want to say something, Vaughn?
No, I was just gonna say number 5.
My man.
Number 4 for me. I feel like I just keep talking about this guy. Like every week, every time I got a list, I just keep talking about him. Number 4, I'm going to go with Jay Lethal. Him with those Ring of Honor titles was his highlight span of his career. He was regarded as top 5 wrestler in the world between like 2011 and like 14. And he could have jumped to WWE. He chose not to, and he stayed with Ring of Honor. And I thought that was the wrong move because obviously him being in AEW now, being 42-year-old plus, like the ship is probably sailed for him. So
Of course.
So I mean, obviously, if Samoa Joe, AJ Styles didn't jump, I would say that AJ would probably be definitely 2 on my list, but he's not knocking my 1. But since AJ and Joe did make the jump with the buzz that they had, AJ probably went about 5 years too late. But that number 4 for me, he reminds me of. He should have took the AJ Styles route, and he should have jumped when the iron was hot, and he did not. And now he's going to be stuck in Ring of Honor forever.
Yeah. So my number 4, I don't know if he's been in WWE yet, ever. What about Stan Hansen? In terms of
Stan Hansen.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Just because. So you've never been there? Never been to WWE? I think just
not to my knowledge, but I know Chris knows more than me.
Yeah, So I don't think he has. So with that being the case, the reason why because much like Bruiser Brody in terms of being a pioneer because of with the lariat, you know what I mean. So had it not been for that, then we wouldn't have the JBL lariat. So and just the things he did in New Japan and of himself, and he's pretty much a legendary figure over there. He's a Hall of Famer, so he's my number 4.
And I just had to double check. Stan the Man Hansen has not been in WWE. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame, though.
Right.
But he has not been in WWE. So once again, look at the pattern. I mean, he was an influential wrestler. So he was inducted to the Hall of Fame. What is your problem? Here, what is your problem, Z?
Why does it wait, he's in WWE's Hall of Fame?
Yes. Like class of 2016.
What's the problem, Z?
Why does WWE do that? I thought it was World Wrestling Entertainment.
Correct, but WWE is wrestling.
Yeah.
Right? It is wrestling. When you think of wrestling as a non-wrestling fan, you think WWE.
That's so
therefore,
but okay, but
just like the NFL,
aren't there like 2 basketball Hall of Fames?
Okay. But the only one people remember is the one that's with the most important. I'm going to an XFL game in 2 days, right?
Ooh.
XFL. So watch my stupid ass Orlando Guardians who can't win a game. But when you think of football, you go to the NFL. Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. You think of the NFL. Shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You don't think of the Orlando Guardians in XFL. And I like the XFL. I hate the Orlando Guardians because they suck, but they're my team. But I like the XFL. I think it's a very good product. Did you know the Lingerie Football League is still around? I did not know that. Even though they call themselves the Legends.
It's not on TV. It's not on TV.
It's on YouTube. But they're still around. I had no idea. I was like, wow. Learn something new every day. Speaking of learning something new every day, let's go ahead and talk about this team. Shout out to Derek because he mentioned this person. He mentioned this tag team, and I'm going to mention them because I think they inspired. I talked about Bruiser Brody, right? Now I'm going to talk about a tag team that I feel like inspired generations because just like there's always a heel, there's always a face. The Rock and Roll Express was the face. The heel was the Midnight Express, right? The Midnight Express is one of the most influential and known tag teams in the 1980s. I will be remiss to not mention them. You'll be remiss to not give them the flowers, to not give them the props, to not give them credit. And if anybody's about to hate, it's going to be that man right over there. And why man?
I'm not about to hate. It's just that when my criteria is, I was not even born and you talking about these guys, so I'm not going back and look at old
now
tapes.
Everybody goes to WWE. I don't care. I still, I'm around independent wrestlers all the time, local wrestlers. They do not sit here and say, "Oh, I want a main event Revolution one day," or "I want a main event Full Gear." No, your goal is to go to WWE and main event WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes started AEW. I don't care what anybody says. What Cody Rhodes we know AEW. Cody Rhodes started AEW. Gave him his model and everything. What did he do? He left to go main event WrestleMania as soon as he got a chance. I mean, there was other moving pieces. Don't get me wrong, but let's call a spade. Or it's Mike Knox. Shout out to Mike Knox, right? Get well soon, Mike Knox. Shout out to Mike Knox. I'm gonna call him B to B, right? That's what Mike does. Like, I'm gonna call him
Keep it a
B&B.
beat.
I'm gonna be a B. Keep it a beat. Keep it a buck. You know, that's what Mike says at the same I a few times. But of course,
Let's keep it a beat.
being silent is your turn. So go ahead and let me
number-
catch up some comments because I like comments. Who wears sunglasses indoors? I don't know. Who gives birth to you? Probably the same idiot. I don't know. All right. LB3 review says number 3 is Vampiro. I want to go
Vampiro
to XFL. Derek
Yes,
Mitchell
I'm gonna have to take
says,
Stan out. I'm gonna have to take Stan out and replace him with the Young Bucks.
okay.
For number 4.
Thank you, King Von. You gave me time because I had to take a deep breath before I read this comment. In 1976, Hansen made his debut for the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. Only 2 months after he began competing for the company, he began feuding with the WWF Heavyweight Champion Bruno Sammartino over the title. Number 3, during the title match, Hansen broke Sammartino's neck while they were wrestling. Thank you very much to the Wrestling Encyclopedia. Even more so to me, he must be Biblioteca or wherever the hell it is. No, that's a library in Spanish. All right. Beautiful Bobby Ian. He's another one. That's true. DJ knows I love that guy. I know you love that guy too because everything has to have I with Mike. I swear to God. You was born off topic, but let's call it spade a spade. NXT is the best show right now. Breaker is top 10 in the world. You must be a joker. I was just literally in wrestling class and we were talking about how no one watches NXT. Like, you got to be kidding me. All right. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Young Bucks was in WWE though. Yeah, for a job.
A tryout match. They weren't signed.
Gino Hernandez is a good one. The best international superstar, the Great Muta. Okay, more to come. Z is out. Yeah, let's go ahead and go.
Number 3. Mm-hmm. Number three for me. It pains me to say this because I can't deny that the boy is good, but I think that he is overhyped. However, Will Ospreay.
Will Ospreay, good pick. Not in my list. He's actually an honorable mention. Thank you.
I mean, I was never on the Will Ospreay train. However, he is good. He's don't think that he's better than Kenny Omega. I think he's on the level, but I don't think he's there yet. I don't think he's better than a Seth Rollins, and he keeps getting compared to him. But he's got a nice. I like him better than Switchblade. I would say I like him better than Switchblade. So for that, he gets number 3 for me.
All right, and of course, King Von.
Number 3 for me is, of course, ROH legend Jay Lethal, a guy that we've highlighted last month of Black History Month. So, cheap plug, but yeah, like I said, Jay Lethal is my number 3.
And shout out to Jay Lethal. Thank you so much. You two convinced me. He's an honorable mention, right? My number 3 is somebody who also does not get the credit he deserved as a wrestler, as a manager. Hey, when I talk about a world champion now, I talk about Roman Reigns. That's what I think about. He is the icon when it comes to world champions. He's just it, right? Drew McIntyre is the person I would build. Some people say Randy Orton. If I build a wrestler from the ground up, they would look like Drew McIntyre, right? But back in the day, Derek will tell me years in a second, right? But back in the day, this person, was who people thought of when they talk about a world champion. Oh, I'm talking about one Nick Bockwinkel. Also a Hall of Famer. Needs to get flowers, needs to get credit. King Von. King.
Ooh.
King.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I know, right?
That's a good
of course.
One. I didn't even I thought of it, but I was like,
that's a good one.
I can't talk enough. I can't talk enough about him. I don't know too much, so I can't do it.
Got me on that one. All right. Yeah, so since
shout out to New Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to him. RP to New Jack. All right, so whose turn is it? DJ's or mine?
It's DJ's for his number 2.
All right.
Number two. Number 2, this is pretty easy. He's probably going to go to WWE at some point. I think he absolutely has to. We need him versus Xavier Woods. Kenny Omega. I mean, if we're going to mention Will Ospreay on my list, there's no reason why Kenny Omega's not on there either. I mean, everybody knows what this boy has done. He had his Thanos run alongside Don Callis. Really dope. I thought it was a good mirror to what Roman and Paul Heyman were doing. However, I think they took the belt off of him a little too soon. But I think that the time is inevitable for him to jump, and more interviews. Him and the Young Bucks, they keep opening up these little conversations like, hey, we're open to it. Like, whatever happens in the future. And I think they got like one more year on that contract. And then it's probably skit fucking daddle because Tony Khan's he's not doing good business right now. His product is seesawing. It's like seesawing more. Like I would probably watch Velocity if it was on. Then I would watch anything in AEW right now. So, yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm dead ass. I'm dead ass.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you watched AEW lately?
I did. I watched it last night. It was okay.
You might have to review an AEW show soon. You never know.
Maybe. I know. That's why it might ask me. I was like, "Are you sure you want me? You sure you want me? I'm too hard. I'm too hard. I'm too hard on AEW."
Okay. All right. Go ahead, King One.
Yeah. See, since you threw the wild card out there when it came to Nick Bockwinkel, and it's just like with him and Omega, they're like tied at 2 right at this point, unless I gotta knock somebody off. Shoot, I might have to knock Stevie off and the Young Bucks if they're leaving that place. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to put Kenneth at 3 and Bockwinkel at 2.
All right, and my number 2 is a hard one because some people's probably going to say this is number 1. I saw this mentioned in the comments a little bit earlier. He's actually one of my favorite international superstars. Unfortunately, I just had to go with my number 1. So this guy's gets number 2, but it's a close number 2. If you ask me next week, it probably will change. Ladies and gentlemen, the Great Muta. The Great Muta. That's really all I have to say. You want to talk about inspirational wrestlers? You want to talk about longevity? Great Muta.
All right, my number one, Uno. You know what? You know who would top this list if he didn't jump to WWE? It would have been Sting. But
without question,
it's Muta. Muta's number 1 for me.
I figure
he's number 1. I mean, we think about guys like Shinsuke Nakamura. We think about Asuka. Clearly, their number 1 influence was Great Muta. I mean, what Asuka's doing right now is very reminiscent of Muta. She is female Muta, and I think that
arguably the greatest female wrestler of all time. I still can make an argument for it. Asuka is.
I would definitely lean towards that side.
Very strong.
Does she win the title at WrestleMania? Because we got a lot of time.
Her heel turn, whatever. I don't think it's a heel turn, but her character change. Her character change does no justice if she doesn't win.
That's right.
But it's against Bianca Belair.
It's time for her to. It's time for her to chase.
I don't think they're going to do it. Now. I don't think they're going to do it. I think Bianca walks out as still your Raw Women's Champion. I think they just don't have anybody that they want to have her lose to yet. But Asuka is the best person you can put in there for the WrestleMania name, so to speak.
Easily, yeah.
Even though they should have went Rhea Bianca, but
that'll probably be next year.
Yeah. Actually, I'm thinking Bianca and Charlotte more so next year, just because before you think
they didn't want to take the titles off of either one of them, so that's why they couldn't go that route.
That's right. Yeah.
And I keep saying it, Mike, the greatest woman. Charlotte doesn't get along with everybody backstage. People don't want to work with her. That's why all the superstars are on Raw. Keep saying they put people like Raquel Gonzalez on SmackDown. If you think about it, Raw's women's division, the SmackDown women's division, Raw's women's division is stacked. Becky Lynch, Bayley, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Bianca Belair. Then you go to SmackDown.
Yes, I watch Buddha, but not Midnight Express. What do you mean? I played WCW versus the World. That's what I knew about Great Muta. What do you mean?
How you on bed rest and still arguing? Like I don't. Right. Hey, Vaughn, what's your number 1?
All right, it's unanimous. It's Great Muta. That's who already had predetermined set at number 1.
Yeah, I figured y'all both had a number 1. That's why I threw him out there. It's going to be somebody's number 1. I actually picked somebody that I put as number 2. I'm going to use this picture because I don't feel like uploading. The Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. I'm going to give this guy number 1, but I'm also talk my crap, baby. I don't like this guy. I think he's one of the most overrated wrestlers I've ever seen in my entire life. I really do. Right? I don't think he tells stories in the ring, really. Maybe outside in his little skits and promos. I can't take him seriously because of the skits and promos, to be honest with you. I think he's fantastic. We do. I think he plays very safe. But I think, when I say if I'm talking about like Bret Hart used to always protect his people, I think Kenny Omega does that very, very good job. I'm not saying he's a bad wrestler, but I think he's super overrated. But I cannot take away the accolades this man has made outside of WWE. I just can't do it. So for that, he gets, here we go. For that, he gets my number one. But I don't like him. And shout out to Dice. In my opinion, and I could be in minority with this. In my opinion, I personally think Seth Rollins, he's the best wrestler in the world. That's my opinion.
I would not tell you that you're wrong or combat that, but I would probably have to think about that. And I was listening to Busted Open, and they said the same thing. Some of them said Bryan Danielson, but I would say that the way that Seth has worked this past year, undeniable.
And you can make an argument for Bryan Danielson also. I would not sit here and dispute that with anybody. But in my opinion, it is definitely Seth Rollins. In ring work, I think Seth Rollins can go in there with anybody. I say, and this is not to discredit him, because he is definitely Seth Rollins. He's no second coming of anybody. But I said of this generation, I've said this for years, of this generation, he is the closest thing you have to Shawn Michaels. That's just my personal opinion. And I think it solidified it when he got that music. He starts dancing out the ring, like Shawn Michaels, who always said Shawn Michaels always said, "I can't dance for nothing. I just did this when I came out." Yeah. Seth Rollins can't dance for crap. He does this. All right, that's all he does. But
yeah, same.
Best gimmick he's ever had, and I like the Messiah. My number one.
That was
Kenny Omega.
Omega. You talked that much and forgot that you said your number one.
Because I don't like him. I just not a fan. Never been a fan. We got 4 minutes and then we're going to close it out.
Charmaine, come on, man.
That's not how you judge.
No, Charmaine, no.
Paul. Wow. Hey, shout out to Mike Knox. Shout out to X-Rated Machine, because he and I were talking about it. Logan Paul, right? I don't know if you saw Monday Night Raw. Logan Paul is the best person I've seen transition to a wrestler since Kurt Angle, outside of Ronda Rousey. Since Kurt Angle. I've never seen somebody transition so well to the point where I feel like he's better than a lot of superstars they have right now. I really do. He handled himself well on Monday Night Raw. And he does it, and he looks like he makes it easy.
Yeah.
Never seen that before in my life.
He handled himself great in that match with Roman.
And he handles himself well in the ring. I have not seen him have he had a great match with Roman. He had a great match with Miz, in my opinion. I was there for that SummerSlam match. His tag team match, I was one of my favorite matches last year, WrestleMania. WrestleMania had a lot of good matches last year.
Oh, easily.
But it was a great match. He is very good at everything he does inside that WWE ring, and I will give him so much credit for that. Hey, WWE is killing it with heels right now. You got Roman Reigns, you got Logan Paul, and you got Dominic Mysterio. Okay, because Dominic Mysterio is a heat magnet. I don't care what anybody says.
He's killing it right
he
now.
Is
Dom is killing it.
Yeah, he is.
Everybody wants Ray to hit him in the face so badly.
Like Dominic's begging for it. You know what I mean? But the thing about Muda, it's like, can you imagine how many dream matches were left on the table because Muda wasn't in WWE? Great Muda versus Shawn Michaels, Great Muda versus Bret Hart, Great Muda versus Undertaker, even whatever you want to name. You know what I mean? Like, Great Muda versus Orton, probably, something like that. So, I mean, you name it. That's why I have him as my number one.
Abdullah the Butcher, yeah, let's go. So when I first saw that this is what we're doing, I thought this would be tough, right? Because if anybody who's been in WWE, but we've had some nice names that we forgot about that was mentioned. Abdullah the Butcher, definitely. What's up? What's going on, Charmaine? Question Z, you watch Muda? Yeah, okay, that was Haiti. Jay White, you can make an argument. Don't forget about Akira Hokuto, who I'm not familiar with. She earned a series of accolades from All Japan Wrestling. From the mid-1980s to the late 90s, the Dangerous Queen dominated the women's wrestling scene.
They acknowledge her on AEW a lot.
Innovative maneuvers, including the Northern Lights Bomb and Dangerous Queen Bomb. I do not like this on my screen.
Oh, man.
I do not like this on my screen, sir. I'm going to take you off.
All
right, what is going on? The same era. Yup. Seth is sexy. Great. Almost every major star has wrestled
one time. What's the look for? What does this look for?
Here are some honorable mentions: Magnum TA, Nikita Koloff, Chris Adams, Gentleman Chris Adams, Jimmy Garvin. True. Logan Paul sucks. Well, he doesn't like you. For those fans who think MJF is like Roddy Piper on the mic, need to go back and watch Southwest Wrestling or World Class Championship Wrestling, and need to look at Gino Hernandez. He died too soon. I like Rhea's new song. And Adam Page. Mr. Knox, you've been saying stuff in the comments. Apparently, you got something to say from your bed. So go ahead and say what you have to say.
I'm just saying
Oh,
that
God.
Muda wrestled in the 80s and the early 90s. So for everybody saying Muda, but then don't see the Midnight Express, they're from the same era.
Okay, was Midnight Express still wrestling? Were they wrestling on WCW versus the World?
Ray Muda was with NWO.
No. But at that time, Muda was already old.
Life.
Even with that,
In fairness, when the NWO was formed, Muda was already old.
He's 3 years younger than Sting.
All of this stuff you said, you could have said from the comments, sir. Thank you so much for being on the show. All right. Going to have to get you off because this is a 3-man show right now, and we can't have you on screen looking like that. Okay. You got to rest up so you can be back here next week. Please make sure that you join him every single Monday, 6:00 p.m. for the Mike Knox show. I said shirt. Mike Knox show. So, Z, what else you got?
That's it for me.
Look at this. Mike, I hope you get better. Hashtag get well soon. Hey, you know what? Make a hashtag. Send it to Mike. You know, he's upset he's going to be on tonight. Not Mike pulling from the hospital. I didn't even want everybody to know he was in the hospital. I want everybody to think he was at your local medical facility, but okay. All right. The Great Muda debuted in Championship Wrestling in Florida in 1986. You are looking this up. Ain't no way. I don't even know this.
But he wasn't even WWE. That's not WWE, though. That's
but how does he know these dates? And like this is
Google.
Did Mike show up from the ER set?
Yeah.
He should have put a bag over your head and made like somebody kidnapped you over there.
Oh
You held hostage in a hospital.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. Please make sure you join us each and every single Thursday at 8:30 p.m. for another Top 5. We'll be right back here next week. Let you know how it's going to come. Make sure you follow all of us on our social media platforms, whether it be Unpopular Review or individual ones, except for me, because I don't like half of y'all. But for Z Silent, for the King Ball Jr., I'm the exec consultant from Mike's hospital room. We'll see you right here next time on Unpopular Review. Good night, everybody.
Night.